Man, I'm chilling, man. Uh, Everything, it's the best thing could be expected at the moment. But as my man Boosie would say, man, it's been a minor setback for a major comeback. With that said, I was thinking today, somebody had a conversation with an old friend of mine, right? And he was asking about some of the things that went on in prison. And so he asked me this one particular question. He said, man, what is, the most serious or dangerous altercation I've ever been in? And it went back to a time that it was so serious because not only was it a lot of heavy hitters on the other side, it definitely wasn't no bitches on the other side, but it was in part because my own family was on the other side. My uncle Marlo, that I spoke to some of y'all about, and shout out to them. Over there at Beyond the Wire, they got a nice podcast out. And my uncle Cat Eyes, man, they doing big things over there. Real proud of them. But this was a war between East Baltimore and West Baltimore, and I mean, this was in the Baltimore Penitentiary, and it was so serious that like even when you use the phone, you had to have because you had to have your man like really with his back against yours because somebody on the other side would take an opportunity any chance they got, any opportunity was given, they would definitely try to shed some blood. So it had went on to the point, like, I mean, like real serious guys, man. Like I remember names like Ronnie Hunt, another dear friend of mine, man, another old friend of mine, was actually on the other side at the time. Big Head, man, I like you just had so many, dudes from over east, and it had got to the point like when you like I said when you use the phone, you had to have somebody with it back to yours because the receivers had really short cords on them. Jail phones, they had really short cords on them, so you couldn't sit on the phone or couldn't stand on the phone and be facing the rest of the crowd and stuff like that because the phones was up on the wall and in the penitentiary what we used to call G building basement, right? So uh, it had got to the point that you couldn't even really go to the bathroom and somebody seen you walk in there from the other side, they would really come in there and stab you. Right? They got that bad in there. And what happens in there when these type of things go on, these type of big wars go on, because everybody know that I'm from Park Heights, it was considered as Northwest Baltimore, right? Um, but it was like whole neighborhoods like joining together, to stab dudes and run up in dudes' cells and stab them up, try to kill them, right? And it just seemed like I would never forget this. One day I was in the yard and I noticed wasn't no police in the yard, but where they was at, they used to have these guard like shacks where the police would be at, and they were so scared themselves that it was like about 15 of them and they all went and locked themselves up in the shack because they were so scared of being in the yard, right? Because you already know when somebody's out there killing somebody, they, especially they already serving life sentences and things of that nature, they're not in the habit of leaving witnesses. A lot of dudes realized that, while they was in there, because they left witnesses, right? What the beef was about, OG, the East against the West? The beef was actually about a guy lying. It was about some drugs, but the guy lied, right? And the guy was from off our side. That's what made it so bad to me because uh, one of the females I was dealing with at the time, he was her cousin, but he used to always tell everybody that I was his cousin, right? So anyway, what he did was he he had, because we were getting a lot of drugs and stuff in there. And so the particular guy that we used to use, well, one of the particular guys that we used to use, I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking about guys from out up Park Heights. We would use this guy, so he called himself, use him too, say, okay, man, he gonna pay him to go in there and get the shit and all this shit. So, but the dude was really trying to get on. He wasn't like he didn't want to keep on being a horse for everybody else. He was trying to get on himself. So what the agreement what he made was he told her, he said, hey man, you ain't gotta pay me nothing. This turn me on to your plug. Cause I don't have nobody to really get it from. So, and that's what he did. So when he went and got everything, he took his half out. But the little kid, excuse me, y'all, the little kid was mad because he went in the balloon without him. And so he came to me and he said, hey, big cuz. He said, man, nigga, this took my dope. I said, what? Now, at the time, I was really caught up about my neighborhood, right? I was really caught up about my neighborhood. I really repped my neighborhood because I repped my neighborhood back then because we used to always have challenges that came to our neighborhood trying to, take over and stuff like that. Excuse me, because back then, Park Heights was a high crime and a high drug area, right? They made a lot of money, right? So anyway, so he came and told me this. And so it was another dude that was popular in there as well from up my way. And dude by the name of Gary Green, they used to call him Gigi. Stand-up guy, man, cold-blooded gangster. So he just so happened to be with me when this kid come tell me this. And so they call dinner. So we all going out to dinner, and the guy that we used to use for the horse, he is coming up the flats because we in the penitentiary at the time. He coming up the flats, and so I say, "Yo, you took something from one of my peoples?" I said, "I know I can't be hearing this right?" And he, my man Gigi, said, "Yo, you gonna get that? You gonna get that back right now, right?" So he tried to talk to me, and I said, "No, it's nothing to talk about. By the time we come back from dinner, you better have that, or you know that you're gonna die in this penitentiary tonight." And so it was nothing else to talk about with me, right? So I should have sensed this. This is one of the true times that I can say that I dropped the ball when I was in the penitentiary, because he was standing on the flats when we was coming back for dinner, and he called his kid. He said, "Hey, little Dante," he said, "Look, man," he said, "Man, you better get a whole bunch of dumb shit started, man. Yo, holler at me real quick." And I should have known then that that's not the conversation of a thief. It's something that I know now. But when somebody is trying to compromise, with something and this and that before something get out of hand, that's somebody who, and 9 times out of 10, he knows that he's not in the wrong, right? That's one thing that prison has taught me. It's taught me how to read people and really be a great judge of character.
So at that time, you thought that the little dude was telling you, my cousin telling you the truth.
Right. I thought he was telling me the truth.
That's what kicked the wall between East and West.
Right. So the whole time that this is going on, so then the guy, his name was Tony. And this guy, he wasn't no chump either, right? He was a horse, but he wasn't no chump. He already had a murder. He had a jailhouse murder and everything, right? So he tried to talk to me, and I said, "Yo, you just heard what I said." And my man Gigi told Dante, he said, "Hey, come on, man." He said, "Fuck that bitch." And he said, "Bitch?" He said, "Yeah, nigga, I called you a bitch." And the dude Tony popped my man Gigi. So when he popped him, Gigi ran through him. No doubt about it. He definitely ran through him. But a few other guys from around my way and stuff, they was getting ready to jump him because they had started kicking him and stuff. And I said, no, don't bank him, right? Because I respect a man as a man, no matter what side he's on, right? If he's a man, he could be an enemy, but he's still a man, right? And I respect that much about him. But move right along. So they fight now. Gigi, right? Because we broke everybody broke it up before the police could find out and call a code. So everybody went their separate ways real quick. They separated them because we knew that this was getting ready to go way beyond punches because he had a jailhouse body and Gigi at the time had two. Right? He had killed two people since he'd been in prison. So we knew this was going down. So the dude go back and tell the guys from off the east side, which at the time, like I said, my uncle and all of them, they was from off the east. So it's a crazy situation to be in because even your own side doesn't really trust you, right? Because they look at it like that's his family. How dedicated is he to this? And some people say, well, shit, man, he crazy. I wouldn't do that to my family. And it's like, so it's a real thin line. It's like one of them high wire acts. It's a real thin line that you got to really, walk. So anyway, so guys were standing by this guy Tony, right? And but even more so, they were standing behind guys like Ronnie Hunt and like my old Marlo and Cat Eyes, my Uncle me, all them. They were standing by all them, right? So and they was men. And I used to trip nowadays when I hear guys used to say, "Oh man, it's always some bitch ass nigga gotta get a nigga way, nigga gotta do this." If you ever notice, men don't beef. That's a lie. Men do beef. Men beef because men by nature are territorial, right? They're conquerors, and just like wolves. And me and the Silver Wolf was talking about this tonight, and it's one of the sayings gonna come out on the merch and stuff that we got, and it said, "You never seen a wolf in a circus, right? Because the wolf don't give a fuck about who the king of the jungle is. He just know who he is or her, right? So, and it was one of them situations where both sides was kind of evenly matched, and like I say it got to the point where, man, if you had to really with the kids call now keep their head on a swivel because like you could be a guy could be hiding on you for steps, waiting on you, come down the stairs or go up the steps, and he pop out from up underneath the steps and stab you and this and that, and or he know that you are somebody that like to work out every day, and he know you'll be good and tall when you get in. So he in there hiding, waiting on you, and it was like that every single day, right? Until finally Tony and Gigi met up in the yard, and it was so crazy because it was like you could almost. It was so silent. That's probably about the most quiet I ever heard the yard in the penitentiary. It was so quiet because when they went at each other in the middle of the yard, the police was up on the wall with the shotguns and stuff like that. And they were like, and they swung at each other a couple of times by the time the police got over there and maced both of them, right? But really, nobody expected both of them to come out of that situation alive, just based off of how they carried it, right? And their reputation of things they had done. So that was probably a pretty serious one because I never forget it. Ronnie Hunt, right hand man, dude by the name of Big Head, big old muscle bound dude, right? And I never forget this. When he's coming down the steps, I'm coming up the steps. I'm with my man Gary Ward. Now, although Harford Road is on the east side. Like Gary Ward, they call G Money. He pretty much had Harford Road and basically took Harford Road as far as where they stood at the situation and said, no, we rocking with the dudes up Park Heights and the rest of the west side. So it had really got that bad. So I never forget this. It was so gangster the way Big Head handled this situation. As soon as I seen him, I was getting ready to whip out my knife. Right, matter of fact, I did. I did pull out my knife. And Big Head was cutting that up, so he said, hold. I'll never forget, he had his t-shirt wrapped around his hand, right? Around his arm, shit like that. So he said, hold. He said, check this out. He said, we can do that. He said, I ain't got no problem with that. He said, but hear me out, right? He said, if you still want to do that, he said, you know, man, I got no problem with it, right? And I knew that. Yo was a cold-blooded man. Well, not was, he still is, cold-blooded man. Right, so I never forget this. My man G Money said, no, yo, hear what he got to say. And so he stood at kind of like the top of the steps, so that was kind of in the middle of it. And when he came in, he said, man, look, he said, Tony had swore to us, yo. He said on his life, he did not take Shorty dope. He said, man, he had swore to us that he just took his half out and he explained the situation. He said, man, he been wanting to talk to you, but he said, man, you keep on brushing him off, right? You want to talk to him, right? So, and then, you know, he said, of course, the war now started. So I never forget this. He said, but furthermore, you got dudes out here getting stabbed every day, getting busted upside the head with locks in the sock and fan motors and all this stuff. He said, but the motherfucker who started this ain't been out here in a week. But I was so, you know, I was young back then, you know, so I was so engrossed in the war because that's what I knew best. I didn't even realize that he hadn't been out there. I just had been stabbing guys. Like, hey, look, you ain't on this side, so if I catch you down bad, you definitely getting this knife. But I didn't realize he wasn't down there. Right? He ain't been out selling the whole week. So me, man, G Money, dude, Big Head, and like two other dudes, we go up to the third tier on the penitentiary on A block. And he's in the cell, just like he said he was. Just like dude Big Head said he was. He was sitting in the cell watching TV. So I was so enraged. I said, nigga, what the fuck you doing in your fucking cell? He said, oh, I went in hard. You know, I got all this shit in the head. I said, no, nigga, fuck fucking dinner. What the fuck you in this fucking cell for? And niggas at war. And furthermore, we at war about you. Right? So he said, oh no, I just ain't feel like coming out. So my man Boo Man was up there. He's from Park Heights too. I never forget this. He immediately hollered out of tears, said, yo, get the police and hit his door. Right? And now Boo Man wanted to rob. Boo Man was a sticker boy of the streets and in prison. Right? So he wanted a reason to rob him. Right? I just didn't get in the way of it. Right? And so what he did was, he like, yo, you got motherfuckers over here on lockup, man, motherfuckers in court more time, all this shit, and you still sitting in this motherfucking nigga, give us all that shit, right? So Boo Man come there, take what he believed was all the dope, right? And took a bunch of, like back then we could still smoke in the Maryland prison system. So he had a bunch of packs of cigarette cartons and cigarettes. So we took all that. And well, I didn't take anything. I let them go ahead and take this shit because I was just so fucking disgusted that this had happened. And so Boo Man claimed that he took it and was going to split it up amongst all the guys that were on lockup about this shit and guys that got stabbed and you know all this shit. So okay, but it taught me a valuable lesson in that, and that lesson was never ever be so caught up with the forest that you can't see the trees. When I finally understood that statement, I've learned to live by that. But until next time, man, y'all be cool. Peace.